If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to Downfall Network for more cool content. What's up, everyone? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick.
I'm Jammin Jon.
I'm Shredlord.
And we have an album review for you. So, one that we definitely had on our radars that was coming out on the 9th of October was the newest one from Necrophobic, Dawn of the Damned. This comes out on Century Media Records. This is the band's 9th album. They formed in Stockholm in 1989 and deliberately wanted to not sound like all the other bands come out of Stockholm, like Dismembered, Entombed, and such. So they pretty much embraced black metal and death metal and became actually one of the earliest blackened death metal bands. And they've been going pretty much strong ever since. And a little fun fact, the name is taken from the song Necrophobic by Slayer, which is awesome because Slayer's awesome. So this album opens up with Aphelion. And as much as I don't like intro tracks, this is a separate track, but Jesus, I want to see this live. Right away, like, this is the perfect intro music. Like, just have the guitarist come on, he does these little cool solos, epic build-up.
War drums, atmosphere up the ass, like...
Smoke machines.
Yep. And it's finally an intro. I don't know, I feel like we went through a block for a while where every album had an intro, right?
Yeah, you're like, oh god.
And then it was like, yeah, it was pretentious to this point, But this one felt very natural. It progressed well. It made sense, and it actually did its job, which hasn't been done recently in the past.
The Undertaker could walk out to this and
absolutely
be 100% appropriate. But then you get into the true opening track, Darkness Be My Guide, and pretty much if you know what Necrophobic sounds like, you know what this sounds like, because this perfect blend of all things melodic death metal and black metal. My god, the guitar work on here is absolutely amazing across the board in this entire album.
Yeah, the whole record's jam-packed full of awesome guitar.
The first thing I noticed about this song and this album is the tightness and the clarity of the musicianship when there's blast beat sections and stuff. The production does a really good job of being able to showcase that, because that's really tricky to do.
Yeah, that's a lot going on.
And so to be able to hear everything in its entirety working together, because, in early black metal, you get those blast beats, but because of the recording processes, or lack thereof recording processes, you don't always get to hear that. So I really latched onto that and thought that was really cool.
We've moved beyond the era of recording things in a play school microphone inside of a dumpster. This is definitely way more polished, way more atmospheric production. They pretty much just capture a giant wall of sound, and that is throughout this album. And the one thing I have to note on this is very driven by the drums. The drums are constantly going. This guy does not take a break ever, I think.
And super solid. He's not doing overly technical things, but he is blasting. He is making great use of his whole kit, definitely. Loves his cymbals.
Cool accents with the toms. Like, they know how to build tension on this.
The whole rhythm section in this band works very well together.
Absolutely.
Good pocket.
Yep.
Very good pocket.
Totally great pocket. The Mirror Black, one of the first singles they released, and actually did a pretty interesting video. I think they shot it entirely in an attic in a church. I don't know. Either way, awesome song. This one brings in a fierce, like, Immortal-like feel, and I got a lot of Immortal vibes throughout this, just in terms of how they do their guitar melodies, lots of dissonance, lots of, tremolo picking, of course, because that is black metal as hell. And it's more like black metal tremolo. It doesn't scream death metal. A lot of the chuggier parts really scream the death metal aspect, but this is just such a cool balance. There's a lot of scorching lead work on this song in particular. There's a whole tapping part that repeats that I absolutely love. This album is just loaded with hooks across the board.
Yes.
But where I think they really excel at it are the two longer tracks on here. The Infernal Depths of Eternity, the longest track on here, is an absolute stone cold epic. Tons of cool atmospheric bits, really clean intro. But this one still stays blasty up until the end, where, my god, it just gets flat out epic. Just sweeping tremolo melodies. It's interesting, there's kind of a weird dynamic. It feels dark and spooky and all that shit, but also very epic.
It takes you a lot of different places like a good long song should.
Yes.
However, each part didn't feel distant from the other part, either before or after. So it was a good journey. Nothing seemed very extreme. It all seemed to flow very naturally, and it was almost like each sections were like baby steps into the next one, and that was kind of a cool thing.
It transitioned very well.
Yes.
Yep.
This album is buttery smooth when it comes down to the transitions on here. It's just pretty much non-stop, like a steamroller, except it's moving much faster than a steamroller usually does. Because this is mostly a fast album.
And the second to last track and second banger masterpiece would be Return of a Long Lost Soul.
My God.
Epic song. It gives me an Iron Maiden epicness.
I almost wrote that down.
It's because of those harmonies.
Yes.
All the guitar harmonies.
It's like the entire band said, all right, let's just fire on all cylinders at the same time for like 7 minutes. And this is absolutely a standout track on this entire album for every single musician in the band, as well as collectively.
Yeah.
We were talking after listening to this song specifically. Nick was basically saying, like, that might be the best song that they've ever written.
It's up there.
It's up there.
It is really up there. I've been listening to Necrophobic for years, and my God, this song is incredible. The whole end section with the lead trade-offs.
Dude, I love the dive bomb into the leads.
Now.
Both those dive bombs into both those leads were pretty sweet.
And the fact that it is definitely a little bit slower, a little bit like more mid-tempo, it has just a solid groove to it. Those dissonant tags on the riffs really stand out. And one thing we haven't really talked about on here is the vocals are solid throughout. Just punctuates the songs really well. Like they're just very almost anthemic, but again, creepy and evil.
Yeah.
It's this really cool contrast that I love on this entire album.
And we even have a guest vocalist on this album, do we not?
Yes, the last track actually features Smear from Destruction.
Smear!
Doing the high-pitched wails that Tom Araya no longer can.
Yes.
But he does them really good.
He does them really well. It's a nice, thrashy barn burner. Pretty much screams, oddly enough, like early Creator. More so than like Slayer or Destruction or even Necrophobic. One of the songs I thought that really stood out in terms of the guitar work was As the Fire Burns. That one is pretty much just solo after solo, lots of just really cool nuanced guitars. It even opens up with a lead, just bold.
Yeah, there's a section in the middle that he plays a single note guitar line, and that's really cool because it's not really a solo, it's just more like, you know,
a
lead melody, and it builds and it gets you hyped and it gets you excited, and finally that builds into the solo, and that was a great transition and another great lead on this album. You know, the leads were good and they were appropriate and they sounded great against the backdrop that they were given.
And one thing I could kind of knock this album on is this band, at least on this album, kind of has maybe only 2, maybe 3 gears. And it kind of can get a bit repetitive, but they really play those 3 gears exceptionally well.
Yes, they keep it interesting. Even though those sections, the dynamic of those sections are repeated, they don't repeat the same riff. It's not the exact same structure, and the guitars definitely keep it interesting.
Oh, yeah. They build on it. They'll throw an extra harmony on top. There'll be like a lead melody that comes in that was different than the first part that came in. So they know how to spice up. It's just, it stays in this really even flow, pretty much bouncing from blast beats to like that mid-tempo kind of almost bolt thrower, like stomp. But it keeps the songs driven.
It does. And they would sprinkle in some stuff like a track like Tartarian Winds, right?
Yeah.
That has almost like a Celtic, Irish folk kind of feel to it.
It's like evil folk.
You don't really hear it anywhere else on the album, though.
No.
So.
You get it a little bit in As the Fire Burns.
A little bit.
Yep.
But that Tartarian Winds moment, it really stood out as like, wow, this is like Highlander except black metal.
Well, what about that jam in The Return of a Long Lost Soul? That middle jams had like a Middle Eastern feel to it. It was almost Nile for a minute.
Almost.
Not many can be Carl Sanders.
Not many. Overall, this is another solid banger from Necrophobic, and I have to say I'm a huge fan of the previous album, Mark of the Necrogram. I thought that was an absolutely killer album. And it's interesting, I got to bring up the cover of this album. Looks like the inside shot of the weird, creepy mansion on Mark of the Necrogram. I just kind of like the idea that maybe they tied the 2 covers together. This one, I don't know if it's as good as that one, but it is fantastic, and I'm going to give it 4 stars. I think this is truly exceptional blackened death metal, and I like the fact that their style of blackened death metal still kind of remains their own, where it's more melodic death metal meets black metal. It really has its own sound. Epic when it needs to be. It's still dark and creepy, and my God, the guitar work is exceptional.
Good black metal? Check. Good death metal? Check. Good production? Double check. Interesting, fun album? Triple check. 4 out of 5 stars for me. This is a very enjoyable listen. It's something that I will pop in a few more times after we do this review for sure. And I look forward to hearing the things that, because, you know, we do this after usually only a few listens, right?
Yeah.
This is going to be an album where I'm kind of interested to see what else I can pick up on the more I listen to it.
Oh, I'm going to jam the hell out of it.
It's going to progress. 4 out of 5 stars. Excellent album across the board.
So Shred didn't get here until like 7:45 tonight, our time zone. I don't know what the hell he all... I don't know.
Time is relative.
Time is relative. Anyway.
I'm a busy man.
He didn't get here till about 7:45.
Busy man.
And so Nick and I had already jammed the album kind of at 4 or 5 songs through when he got here. And I liked it more the second time through, those first 4 songs. My love for black metal is certainly not as great as the 2 gentlemen sitting next to me here.
He'll learn.
I'm getting there. I've been introduced to all sorts of shit here with Thralls, so it got definitely a little bit more exciting. I like the song structures. My little gripe would be about the tone of the guitar and the leads. Sometimes it was a little thin, but I also understand that's a black metal thing. So 4 out of 5 stars for me as well. I had a fun time. It was a good jam.
So, if you enjoyed the review, give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
We'll catch you later.